Joining us now, filmmaker and master storyteller Mr. Mani Ratnam, whose Ponniyin Selvan 2 or PS2 is releasing globally. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on PS2. PS1 grossed 600 crore rupees. It was a pan-India blockbuster. How different PS2 is going to be?
It's a completion of that story. Leave alone the figures and the numbers. I think it's a story which needs to be said. It's a classic in Tamil literature. So it is, we are fortunate to be able to bring it to screen and take it all over the world.
For those who did not watch PS1, will they also be able to follow and enjoy the film now?
I hope so. The intention was that each one should be a standalone film and will still hold good. But watching PS1 would only help.
It's a period film, the story of the Cholas, for which in terms of reference materials, hardly any. What kind of research and hard work you had undertaken?
In the sense, I think if you look at South Indian history, the most documented, the most researched period is the Chola period. So we are lucky that there's been quite an extensive amount of research that has gone in already, and most of them have found their way in Kalki's novel itself. But despite that, the fact remains that there are no physical, evidence or physical, remains of a fort or a palace. So those only temples remain, and we have to take cues from that. And the temples have, scriptures as statues, has all sorts of carvings, and so those gives you the input, and we start from there and extrapolate.
It's a 6-hour long film in 2 parts. Did you have your own doubts when you ventured into this initially, and did you learn some lessons in this?
In the sense, this is for 70 years, this has been the bestseller as a novel. So we had no doubts on the material, on the novel. It is only how well we are able to translate it onto celluloid. That is the only issue, and we had worked quite extensively on that. And so there was no doubt really in that sense.
Was choice of actors for these fictional characters a challenge? Many had wanted to be part of it, like Rajinikanth, who had openly said.
Yeah, I think casting is very crucial, makes 50% of the film, I feel, and makes my job as a director much easier if we cast well. People being right for that role, and people who, are as interested in portraying that role, who have the time and the willingness to walk the distance. So we were lucky that we have a bunch of really talented artists working with us.
How did you fall in love with Ponniyin Selvan, and when did you decide you would want to make it into a film?
I think it's a boyhood love story, really. I fell in love with it the first time I read, which was probably end of school time, and around that time. But I never thought of films as a career at that point of time, nor did I think of this as a film for quite a while. But when the first opportunity came up, when somebody said, what kind of film would you like to make? This was the first thing that came to my mind.
Lyrics and songs have become super hit. What kind of a theme you and Mr. A. Rahman worked together?
Yeah, the film is set on 10th century. Right. And we have no idea what kind of music was there. All we know is when Carnatic started, and we know from the Sangam period, from literature, what kind of instruments were there. But we still don't know what sound was there. All we have in mind was the kind of sound that was there in all the other historical films made before, 1940s and 50s, which itself is an imagination of what it should have been like. So we decided that we will not exactly follow the 1940s replica of the music, but we would want to evoke period but still be contemporary. It is true not only for the music, it is also true for the way the dialogues are spoken, the way the film is shot, it is edited, put together. In all sense, we wanted it to become a contemporary film, but should evoke 10th century.
Is that why you have chosen contemporary musician, lyricist for this than established artists like Mr. Ilayaraja or Vairamuthu?
Not really. I mean, the why you choose somebody for a film is because you think that is right for the film. That is all. There is no other motive beyond that.
Although it's a blockbuster, in certain areas of North India, PS1 did not have that kind of a connect. Any particular reason you think?
It's understandable because I think hopefully PS2 will set that right. But the thing is that the names as such, for example, are very difficult to or follow or to repeat, even for a South Indian, even for a Tamil. Periya Tarayar becomes a difficult thing, and for somebody not to be able to attach the name to a face. And here we have the advantage of, even if you don't remember the name, you remember the artist, you know who it is, and you're able to follow the connections easily. When, the artists are from South and they're not able to put a name to them, maybe it is a little more difficult to draw the lines and understand the relationship. But I think PS2 will solve that problem.
Last year, Tamil film industry saw two blockbusters, Vikram, PS1. If you look at the whole of South India, again, Bahubali, RRR. What does it mean for Tamil cinema and Southern cinema in that sense?
I think any film that does very well is good for the industry, as such, and for Indian films. And it doesn't matter from which language it comes. Today, I think it crosses so beautifully. So it really doesn't matter which language it comes from, but to be able to bring across a film which brings back the audience to the theatres and gives them an experience which they carry with them. That's wonderful.
Two films again from India, South India, RRR and The Elephant Whisperers won Oscars recently. What would this mean for Indian cinema on the world stage?
I think this is just the beginning. I think there'll be much more. I think I've said this before, but I think what happened with literature, English writing, Indians writing in English and reaching the world, I think it will very soon happen with cinema also.
CII had recently said that South Indian cinema grew by 96% last year. It has also projected a 15% growth this year. As an industry, what would this kind of growth mean?
Honestly, the CII's job is to give figures and percentages and things like that. But for us in the film industry and as a film viewer, if more good films come and good films do well in the box office, then it's a very healthy sign. And if there are more new thoughts, new filmmakers, and who breaking new ground happens around you, then it's wonderful.
Which was the most challenging role or character in the film for you to direct?
I think every role is difficult. I think every scene is difficult. It is because it is difficult is what we get paid for. If it is something very easy, it can be done by anyone and everyone. The fact that the nuances have to be brought in and textures have to be there, and it has to come alive. It should look like it is something that happened or could have happened. It should be one of the two. And it's not just me. It is everybody together. It is the artist most important. It is the cameraman. It is the editor. It is the music director. I think it is a combination of all this. And that's what can make the scene believable, a character memorable.
Kundabai or Nandini?
Both.
Aditya Karikalan, Vandiyathevan.
All the characters. I think I'll spare you the. I'll spare you the.
Talks of PS3, is that in your mind?
Right now, PS2 is what we have in mind, and once it comes out, maybe there is enough history. There is enough period. Chola history. Rajendra Cholan, who was Rajaraj Cholan's, was a bigger king. So I'm sure that there is a possibility. I'm sure that if not me, somebody else will definitely do it.
Right. The series of blockbusters from South Indian cinema, do you think this will, over a time, change the perception internationally that India is all about Bollywood?
I think this term Bollywood itself is really sad. I mean, why should we sound like an imitation something? I mean, Hindi cinema is Hindi cinema, and we've had some masters all along, and we continue to have masters in Hindi cinema. So does the rest of Indian cinema. So does Telugu cinema or Tamil cinema. Malayalam has been one of the best cinemas that's ever been made in the country. So we should be proud of everything.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, and always joy speaking to you, and all the best.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you very much.